like to call the June 11th, 2024 meeting of the Pittsburgh City Commission to order. So I'll stand for the flag salute, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Tom Werman, if you could come up, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for this opportunity to give an invocation. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, in our Savior's name, we ask for the elected leaders of our city, your spirit of wisdom, humility, courage, and peace, that they may promote the common good, hear the voices of all, including the poor and the powerless, and serve as faithful stewards of your handiwork. For to you belongs the glory and dominion, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Go ahead and open it for public input. Anyone with anything to come forward and address the commission with, please state your name and address. Limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone? All right, seeing none, we'll close it. Move on to the consent agenda. Item C, Commissioner Brooks would like to pull off. Anyone else have anything to pull off? All right, so let's have a roll call vote on
Move to approve.
Second.
on item A and B. So it's been moved and seconded. Tammy?
Brooks?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Munson?
Yes.
Sigley?
Yes.
All right. A and B.
Move to approve item C. Move to approve item C. We didn't do that. We pulled it.
I'm
out.
recusing.
Yeah.
Anyone
I
else?
need a second. I need a second.
Oh, I seconded.
Yeah, thanks.
Been moved and seconded to approve item C. Roll call vote.
Height?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Munson?
Yes.
Sigley?
Yes.
All right. Move in to consider the following. Item A, funding agreement, Gorilla Rising Project. Consider approval of a funding agreement between the city and Pittsburgh State University for development of the new College of Business and an on-site parking to be located at 3rd and Broadway, as well as the redevelopment of the Best Hotel on 4th Street.
Mayor and City Commissioners, this is the funding agreement. It's comprehensive in nature. Part of it is including the revolving loan fund. So we have Blake Svensson here and Doug Ball. I think Doug's going to walk you through a presentation, but I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you, Darren. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. Proud to introduce Doug Ball, who's the Vice President of Administration at Pittsburgh State University. He's been an integral part of this project that has been widely reported upon and is now ready for your consideration. Mr. Ball gave this presentation to the EDAC last week, since a component of the funding agreement does involve the revolving loan fund. That recommendation was unanimous from the EDAC, given the scope and the size of the investment coming downtown being proposed by the university, and also, as Doug will talk about, just the interaction between the students and the business community and strengthening that relationship. But with that, I would ask Doug Ball to come up and give us a presentation. Doug.
Thank you for having me. I'm certainly pleased to be here tonight representing the university, we'll talk a little bit about the Gorilla Rising project. I know you're familiar with much about the project, but I'll take a few minutes to describe some of the key components of it and why we're so excited about it. And of course, tonight we're requesting your support for the project. The university's operations that occur downtown occur today within Block 22, a project I'm sure you're familiar with. And so Gorilla Rising will build upon that in a number of key ways. There are really two key components to the Gorilla Rising project. The first, and really the foundational element of the project, is the Kels College of Business, which we would locate at a new facility in the downtown region. And then the second component to Gorilla Rising is the redevelopment of the Best Hotel property, which would provide additional student housing and some other space for university operations as well. But it all is really started with and builds upon Block 22, a project that was created and brought to pass through the partnership of the city and the university and has been really successful. from the university's perspective, some of those benefits and successes we've seen, we hear from our students and faculty and staff every day. They're excited about the operations that take place at Block 22 and the impact that that's had on the broader university's operations and on the city and region as well. And so this has become a bit of an inspiration for the idea of Guerrilla Rising, a chance to grow, to expand those operations in the downtown region and deepen those linkages between the university and the city and business community. Just a reminder looking back about what the Block 22 project was all about. It was a $22 million project that created 97 student apartments for student use, as well as offices that the university uses for its economic development and community engagement activities. It also includes space available for co-working or full rentals for area businesses, as well as the idea shop, meeting rooms, and then the retail establishments that serve both the broader community and our students. And so building on Block 22 is Guerrilla Rising. You see on this page an illustration, kind of a map view of both Block 22 and how Guerrilla Rising would add to that. The first component, the College of Business component, is shown at the bottom portion of the map. It's 1 block south of the current Block 22 location at the current All Aboard site. And then the second component is, of course, the Best Hotel, immediately adjacent to the Block 22 buildings today, just to the east. Let's dive into each of those pieces in just a bit more detail, starting with the College of Business. So the College of Business would be a new building, right, about 53,000 square feet in size, estimated to cost just under $28 million. And it would contain really the key operations of the College of Business. All of the administrative and faculty offices, the classrooms and other learning spaces for business courses, the student advising, student meeting rooms, and student collaboration spaces for business students. And this site is large enough to also contain sufficient parking right on site, right next door, for both the facility's operations itself and then available more broadly for community use as well. Having the College of Business downtown would allow us to encourage a deeper linkage between our business academic programs and the city and business community. It also would bring hundreds of students and faculty and staff to the downtown area, certainly to learn, right, but also to connect with the business community through work opportunities and through as consumers. And then finally, it would allow some of them who would choose to live in the downtown region and create a living, learning community as well. That really leads us to the second part of the project, the Best Hotel redevelopment. This is an over $23 million project that would redevelop the 69,000 square foot building. It would contain about 65 student apartments, and then on the first floor it would contain some other university operations. Specifically, we have planned there the Reading Center and the Testing Center, as well as some available space for other probably commercial use. The Reading and Testing Centers both draw visitors to Pittsburgh from both surrounding communities and, frankly, further away communities. So having those operations in a visible and easy to find location is advantageous for their operation. The Reading Center will also be involved in the implementation of Kansas's Blueprint for Learning, an act that was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor earlier this year. So their operations are likely to grow and expand over the coming years. So in summary, Block 22, when combined with Guerrilla Rising, creates an expanded educational district for the university's operations downtown and for the university's interaction with the city and community. Finally, moving to a financial summary, right? The components of Guerrilla Rising, when combined, total a project of just over $51 million. The funding components, we've really worked quite hard to gather together to combine a variety of funding sources to make a project of this magnitude possible. That includes a variety of PSU and state-sourced funding opportunities, a significant amount of charitable donations, the use of tax credits that are available on a portion of the project, and a modest amount of debt on the housing component. And then finally, the funding agreement, the funding letter that's before you today for consideration. Any one of these funding sources couldn't do a project of this magnitude, but by combining them, we're able to leverage any one of those funding sources to the size and impact that this project can have on the community. We've worked closely with Darren and the city leadership to outline the specific components of the funding, which are highlighted there on the right-hand side of the page and described more fully in the funding letter you've got in front of you today. You know, projects of this size and complexity are difficult. They're not easy. Partners are necessary, and we've worked hard to to bring together a consortium of interested parties willing to support this project and help bring the positive impacts that it can bring to our community. And so we're seeking your approval tonight for an opportunity to make this happen. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Doug.
Doug, I have one, well, I got a couple, one for you and one for Darren. You give the reason why you want to be downtown,
Yeah.
but you left off state secured funds. Wasn't those would be funded if the project was downtown and not on campus?
That's right. A significant portion of that state support was a challenge grant that we were awarded from the Department of Commerce. And one of the significant factors in our application that was exciting to them, interesting to them, and resulted in them awarding that grant was the opportunity to move the College of Business's activities into the downtown region where it could have a more direct impact on the area economy. And so that was a critical part of that particular award, which was $12.5 million, a significant portion of the funding. Absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Doug, can you maybe speak a little bit about the present condition of the existing School of Business and why it necessitates moving?
Yeah, absolutely. The College of Business has served us well for a very long time, but is not in a condition today to continue serving us well into the future. It's a dated building that really just doesn't have the size and type of spaces that are necessary to conduct a College of Business in today's world. And so we've been looking for some time. We've really been working for over 10 years now trying to work through the best plan or best solution for an improved facility for our business programs and our business students. And this is the best and current opportunity to do that. Many of the other universities in the state and surrounding states, a large number of them have built new business colleges at their universities in recent years. And so we are certainly behind both other universities, but frankly, we have facilities that pale in comparison to most of the high school facilities that our students come from. And so it's time for a significant update.
Thank you.
You've talked about the facility need, but can you address what added value academically would be brought with being downtown?
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of moving the college downtown is not just a physical move, but there's more to it than that. There are certainly activities already underway and would continue during the construction process to step back and critically evaluate the programs and curriculums that we have in our College of Business. And one of the plans, one of the intentions of the project is to really deepen the experiential elements of those programs, to tie those programs to real experiences in local businesses and local organizations to an even deeper degree than they are already. And in doing so, to try to make those programs a little bit unique compared to other competitors. And so what we'll be selling to students is not just a new building, although that's a component of it, but it's a building with real experiences, not just learning about business, but having a chance to practice and experience business as part of their program. And we think that'll be compelling to students.
Thank you.
Darren, can you talk a little more about the city funding? Because a lot of people would like to understand that. And I know it's listed here, but could you give us a breakdown of like the gaming revenues for how long and how much per year, and just kind of go from there, where the money's coming from on the city's part?
Sure. So the list has four components. The first is the gaming revenue. The gaming revenue is the largest component at 6.8 million over 10 years. It would be an initial $2.8 million investment because that's how much we've saved. We've never really spent the gaming money since we've been collecting it. We collect about $400,000 a year, so the balance would be that up to $400,000 a year of the gaming revenue each year for 10 years. The second major source is the interest on investments. So traditionally, as long as I've been here, we usually budget about $25,000 or $35,000 a year for our investment off of our money that we have in the bank. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you are, with inflation and interest rates, we get a lot more, and we've been very aggressive in investing our money in local banks with the help of Jay and now our current finance director, Allison. She's just been, every month it's another one coming and going. Fortunately, we have about $2 or $3 million that we've generated, so we feel pretty comfortable with that going towards the project because it's not tax money. It's literally something that we've just made above and beyond what we currently have budgeted, and it's not tax revenue. The third is the revolving loan fund, which we all are familiar with. That's what the request, that's why Blake was here today, and the EDAC already weighed in on that. That would be traditionally 10% of a project. 10% of this project would be over $5 million, so we're very comfortable that they're only needing $1 million, so that'll save plenty of money in there to continue to do more projects. And then last but not least, it wouldn't be a complete list if we didn't include that there's always operating money out of the operating budgets from time to time that's spent, whether it's some curbs, some gutters, sometimes there's some broadband things that we have in our budget. There's alley work, there's right-of-way improvements, things like that that we have operating funds to take care of. So we put $250,000 down. That would probably be something that would be spent over several years, not $250,000 a year, but up to $250,000 out of a couple of years during construction to round out that total. But we were very proud of the fact that we don't have tax money per se in there. The gaming money is obviously what it is. And we understand that the interest income, I walked through that. And so we're pretty comfortable that we put together something that can help us leverage the $42 million without putting any of our current programs or our economic development fund in any adverse position.
And with the economy the last couple of years, we've really not seen any decrease in the gaming revenue.
No, gaming is probably, with the exception of when they closed during the pandemic, it's actually the most consistent revenue stream. It just generates about $400,000 a year, and it has, and hopefully for this project it continues, because if that money were to go away, we wouldn't be on the hook to make it up like we would if we would have sold in a bond or something like that.
Do we have any projections toward the amount of taxes that we would gain by putting this downtown through expenditures from students, businesses, stuff like that? Sales, retail, in other words.
You know, I don't know that we have an estimate that's specific to this project at this time. There was a recent study done of the Block 22 project that suggested it was producing about, and I think that was an economic benefit of about $2 million a year in total economic benefit from that particular project. This is significantly larger in terms of the scope and size, the number of people that it would bring and involve, but we haven't turned that into an explicit estimate at this point.
Doug, what's the time frame on this project?
Yeah, so one of the funding sources, actually the one you asked about earlier, the Commerce Grant, has a very specific timeline to it. Those funds have to be spent by the end of 2026. And so that is the timeline for the project. We envision being able to complete construction in the summer or fall of 2026 and being open before the end of the year.
That grant, or that money you're talking about, the School of Business or the Best Hotel?
You know, it's really connected to the whole project, so it's related to the combined all-in project.
And the programs in the School of Business are upper level courses, so there's not a lot of need for students to
Yeah.
run back and forth.
So the College of Business offers courses kind of across the spectrum. What is envisioned for the building here would be the upper level courses that business majors are taking. There are still a smaller number of entry-level courses, more general education courses that the college teaches. most of those would remain on the core campus. And so we wouldn't see a tremendous amount of students needing to go back and forth between locations. There would be some, but not a significant amount. So most students would spend kind of their first year on campus, right? And their, last couple of years in the College of Business location, in the downtown location, and that second year may be a transition point between the two.
Will you have a bus service going from main campus to the downtown region?
We certainly envision the need for that. We've got to work through the specifics of that, but that is our plan to extend or add the shuttle service that we already have to include this route in this building.
Did you have a question?
You can go ahead.
Originally, the Fox was going to be part of this project. What's the status of that?
So we're continuing to explore the Fox. The Fox is not quite at a point where it's ready to move forward yet. The funding isn't fully in place. All of the details aren't fully in place. And so I think of it as separate, as a potential add-on to the Gorilla Rising project, but a bit separate from it. This portion, the Gorilla Rising project, needs to move forward now, primarily due to that timeline we talked about a moment ago. We continue to work on the Fox project, continue to explore those funding opportunities, and are optimistic and hopeful about it. It's just not quite there yet.
Thank you.
Block 22, you said you had 97 students that live in Block 22 and
Yeah.
65 possibly in the Best Hotel. Are
Yeah.
they all junior and senior? And it's option first for the School of Business students?
So generally, yes. So we have restricted Block 22 apartments to upperclassmen and have been able to keep it completely full in that fashion. And so we envision that for the BES as well, that it would be focused on upperclassmen. We do intend to have, a subset of those spaces available and kind of specifically for business students, but not all of them. Not necessarily limited to the BES. It might be just some number of apartments across the combination of Block 22 and the BES that would be focused on business students to create that living, learning community. Certainly not all of them. There would be many of them available to any students.
Does Pittsburgh State University, are they going to own both buildings? Are they owners of both projects?
So the funding mechanism or the ownership mechanism would play out over time. In the case of the College of Business building, that would be owned by the university immediately at the time of construction. In the case of the BES Hotel, it would actually work very similar to Block 22, where there is a private ownership group initially that's necessary to enable some of the tax credits that are part of the financing for that project. The university would lease it and would have an option to purchase it at a later date.
Any other discussion? Entertain a motion to approve item A.
So moved. Gorilla Rising project.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve item A, the funding agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right, item B, Pittsburgh State University Kels College of Business Economic Research Proposal. Consider the recommendation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee, EDAC, to support the Pittsburgh State University Kels College of Business Economic Research Proposal at the investment level of $32,500 to fund the project for 1 year.
Yeah, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. It's hard to believe, but for the past 10 years, the city has partnered with the Kels College of Business and specifically Dr. Michael Davidson for economic research and reporting. So you all have a copy of Dr. Davidson's work. What the city's support enables Dr. Davidson and the Kels College of Business to do is to compile and produce various economic development data, and they put it in this report. The city's support ensures that not only are they able to do the research, they're able to do the layout, the printing of these publications, but they also mail one to every single business owner in the city of Pittsburgh. So it's a great opportunity, not only as a sales tool that we send to prospects that are interested in investing in Pittsburgh, but it also goes a long way in helping us keep our local businesses informed of what the local economic conditions are. What's not included in this, and PSU never charges us extra for, is occasionally when we get prospects, often they will request information that's hard to find, and we've never gotten a particular request before. As a matter of fact, we got a request last week for some labor data that was difficult to find. We're always able to reach out to Dr. Davidson because he seems to know exactly where to find the information. He's able to find it very quickly, so he helps us respond to those inquiries in a timely manner. So the request is for $32,500 to support this project. And again, as part of that, it includes the 4 quarterly reports, the printing of them, the mailing of them, and then just the as-needed support with economic research. But this is something that was also presented to the EDAC last week, and they unanimously recommended continuing that for another year. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, I don't have any questions, Blake, but I do have concerns. We just approved $10,050,000 to the School of Business for a new school. And I would think that $32,500 might be, maybe for a year, not charged to the city. We should give them $10,050,000, and then right after that, they want the $32,500. That's just my thoughts.
Okay. Well, I will say that both of these requests were considered by the EDAC in the same meeting, so obviously they had that information. I think especially since if it were just the activity and the research, I think maybe that would have been taken into account. I think especially since there's actual printing and mailing hard costs that are associated with it was one of the reasons that the EDAC felt comfortable in recommending continuance of this.
That was just a recommendation for
Yes, sir.
us to approve.
Certainly.
And this is the same fee as last year? There's no
Correct. It has
increase.
not changed.
And I will say, we do a lot of grants where I work, and this is very beneficial to.
Absolutely. Yeah, he does great work.
Any other discussion?
I would move to approve.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve item B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, item C, appointment to Southeast Kansas Career and Technical Education Center, CTEC Board. Select one member of the governing body to serve on the Southeast Kansas Career and Technical Education Center, CTEC, board. So, it's a little background, I didn't even realize this, but apparently Commissioner McNay has been serving in it for a number of years. Currently on the CTEC board, Commissioner Mansell, I believe, has an interest in becoming that member assigned. I wasn't even aware that we did this, or that Darren had the opportunity to appoint this. Darren, do you have any comments on the backstory of this and how we?
I think it says a lot about the board that we finally have more than one person interested in serving in it, serving on it. But it was established probably 9 or 10 years ago, mainly with a big grant from one of the local foundations, and I think they do a lot of tremendous work. I just appreciate that choosing one of the commissioners to one position is not something the city manager usually finds himself in. So in this case, I appreciate that you guys are gonna work that out between you, but I think we both have, any of you would do a great job, and I think it's an important board.
Well, I would, having been a part of it for a little bit, it is very rewarding. It's a great organization. It's going through a little transition right now. We have a new executive director starting July. Obviously, it's an organization that includes Fort Scott programs along with a PHS program. We do have the interim Fort Scott president. We have a new superintendent coming, so it is a little bit of a time of adjustment or transition, I guess. I'm currently the chair of the Marketing and Development Committee, and we're working hard on a presentation for the new owners of the casino so that we can, they will continue their funding. If you recall, they had made a 10-year commitment. I think we're in year 7. So we want to dazzle them with our results so that they will continue to provide the funding for CTEC. And we're also, now that we have a director in place, getting ready to do a strategic plan. I've helped facilitate the first one, and it's time to revisit that. So the terms are July through June. And I know Chuck's interested, and I don't know, Chuck, if you would consider a compromise and let me stay on for a couple months to get through the strategic planning, maybe through August or September.
Well, I know when I was approached by members of the board to be on it, I talked to Darren about it, And Darren said the appointments are made in June, and this is June. I wouldn't be opposed to me being appointed and you also not being on the board, but now you could continue to meet with me for however long. I feel a connection to this vocational school. Not so much that I was any part of it being developed, but when I graduated high school, I went to vocational school at Pitt State. They had a vocational program. I took drafting, 2.5-year course, and they had, I don't know what the percentage of people that go through this CTEC school, probably high 90s, but Pitt State Vocational School was upper 90s. And, they also had they had electrical, they had welding, I don't know, electronics, a bunch of stuff. And then also, when I worked at the foundry, when the foundry was closing down, Pitt State offered vocational programs. And I took a welding class, and I took a electricity class. And my instructor sitting there, Brent Linder, taught me that class. So I can relate, I deal with kids on the school bus 5 days a week. And if I could steer them in any direction, that's not my job, but I could give them some insights that, college is not for everyone. The trades, we're losing trades, and once the trades goes away, we don't have people that do that job. And trades pay very well if kids would go through this. I wish I had the opportunity in high school to go through a program like this, even if you don't stick with it. I remember, and I know this might irritate some people, but I think Brownback was the governor at the time, and he came down and he spoke at the CTEC, and I think I was newly commissioner then, but he explained that, this is something that if kids are not sure on college, they can go through this vocational technical training and possibly do a job and get a job and help pay for the college if they decide to go on to college. So I just have a compassion for this school, and especially since I was approached by some of the board members. And like I said, I know June's the time they'll be appointed, and I'd like to be appointed now, Dawn, and go from there.
Anyone else? Any other comments? All right, we have a ballot in front of us. Go ahead and cast your ballot.
Pretty fancy foot on there. All right, Commissioner Munsell got the most votes.
All right, congratulations, Chuck. Don, thank you very much for your service the last, how many years?
However long I've been on the board.
Long time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you, Chuck, for being willing to represent the city commission.
And Blake, I'll still work behind the scenes and finish my commitment. Yeah.
All right, non-agenda requests?
Yes,
We need to make a motion to,
Oh,
we kind of formalize the process this year, so we need to.
do I have a motion to formally make Commissioner Munsell the representative for the CTEC board?
Thanks.
so moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint Commissioner Chuck Munsell to the CTEC board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. All right.
I'd just like to say a few things. Pittsburgh lost one of its greatest citizens a couple of days ago. God bless him. Joe Hart died, and I've often referred to him as Mr. Pittsburgh, because it seemed like Joe Hart was involved in so many things, and he was so supportive of this community through many organizations that he belonged to through many, many years. And we have lost a good friend and a wonderful support for our city. I would just like to have a moment of remembrance for Joe Hart. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen, anyone else, staff?
No.
All right, well, that, it's a great segue into this week's Pittsburgh Positive, Doc. I wanted to make Joe Hart the honorary Pittsburgh Positive recipient this week. He exemplified positivity in our community, so great guy. They don't make any more Joe Harts. I hope they do. I hope that there's Joe Harts out there that will step up and fill his shoes, but those are big shoes to fill. So thank you, and we'll get hopefully some family members in here to recognize, to accept that on his behalf. All right, anything else for the good order? Motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? We're adjourned.